Welcome to the Kelly Cardenas podcast, where attitude is everything. On today's show, I'm going to get it right, Dave. I'm going to get it right.
I got faith in you.
Dave Paczkowski.
Nailed it.
Said it right off the bat. Now, the cool thing is I believe in a three concept in life that will make you successful in anything. Number one, be kind. Contribute to every single person that you possibly can. Number two, make friends. And number three, just stay curious, right? And the cool thing is the way that we met, Dave, is exactly in line with that. There was a friend, a mutual friend of ours named Justin. I was on the podcast with him. I got a chance to be interviewed on his. I interviewed them for mine. And it was just something that I asked him at the end. I said, how can I serve you guys? And I made a friend for life. I told them that I was going to force them to be my friend for the rest of their life. Well, a couple months later, I didn't ask for it, but they introduced me to what I didn't know was my 2-door away neighbor.
Crazy.
And it was amazing because right when we started talking, I knew that I wanted to have you on the podcast because it wasn't about what you did, but about who you are. And I could see your heart right off the bat, but you're a master at what you do. You're in the physical therapy space, but you do it on a different level. And I just want to congratulate you on it. You're building the business. You're growing at an amazing rate. And again, you're doing things that are uncommon. Can you tell us how you got into the space in the first place?
Yes. Thanks so much for those words. First off, Kelly, I'm so stoked to be on here. I love how we got connected. And when you asked me to come on, it was a no-brainer on my end. Really honored to be on. But how I got started in this space is like a lot of people, I think, that get into this space, grew up in athletics and sports, and I always knew I wanted to work with the body, and happened to kind of stumble my way into physical therapy school, which isn't something you necessarily stumble into, a doctorate program, but my mom kind of pushed me into it when I was like, I just want to work with athletes and train. She's like, maybe go this physical therapy route. So a big thanks to my mom on that, of guiding me into a career that's a little more can have a little different impact than the strength and conditioning route is a hard field to get into. But I quickly realized I was out of place because of that too. And I was looking around in PT school, and nothing against classmates or anything, but I was like a Ferrari with a bunch of Priuses of I want to get people strong and lifting heavy and doing these things. And it just wasn't that in PT school. And I quickly found that getting out of school and working for a private practice, that our healthcare system's really broken. The insurance model's really, really broken. And it was just a disservice for people that were coming in, and insurance was cutting them off from visits early. People weren't able to get better. To make ends meet in the insurance model, you got to see 2, 3, 4 people an hour sometimes just to get by. And I was like, this is not what I went to school for. This is not what I signed up for. So, fast forward to 2017 when we moved out here and started Inside Out for I knew it could be done better in a true one-on-one format, in a way that help people actually get all the way back to the things that they want, not insurance ripping the carpet out of people before they got a chance to get all the way better. So that's a long story short of what really inspired me to start our physical therapy practice in a way that we can focus more on the relationships. We can really get to know our people, get to know their families, and that was very important for us when we started it.
So help me, because there's a lot of people out there that are listening. Think about physical therapy, and they're like, okay, so if you get injured, you go see you. Or if I'm a high-level performance athlete, I go and see you. Mm-hmm. But what I love about what your practice is, and before we started recording, I was actually, for those of you out there listening or even watching, I was going to name the episode Outside In, because the reason why I say it is because I believe that Dave is able to connect with someone on the outside, and then when you touch you and you talk to you for 5 minutes, you instantly start to see who you are, right? And it was funny because as we said it, you're such a nice guy, and I said outside in going that way, and you were like, kind of, but it's inside out. And I said, okay, and help me to understand this, because again, I think that a lot of barrier to physical therapy is I'm hurt, I go to physical therapy. I'm a professional athlete, I go to physical therapy. But what you've helped me to understand is physical therapy is for everybody. Can you help to dispel this myth or to help us to understand why a person out there listening that doesn't have any ailments, that maybe wants to live a better life, should choose physical therapy?
Absolutely. Yeah, you nailed it. I think physical therapy definitely is for everyone. Now, the thing we picture when we hear physical therapy, though, is I'm sure a lot of us have the picture of like, I got in a car accident, I had surgery, I see the typical physical therapy image that gets painted out there is you walk in and there's all these like old ladies with ankle weights on doing their like knee kicks and marches and those things too. And like, yes, that is physical therapy, and it's a needed thing for that population. But we want to flip the script on that too. And we work with anyone really looking to stay active as they age and either get out of pain. A lot of chronic pain is rising in terms of back injuries, knee issues, shoulder issues. Those are the big three we tend to see. And even if you have ailments or aches and pains, that's not normal either. People think like, oh, well, my back just hurts. Isn't it supposed to hurt? If it gets tight when I wake up and it loosens up. That's something that's totally fixable, and something that we see for anyone looking to maintain a level of activity, for whether that's doing CrossFit, running marathons. We see all our crazy, we love them, crazy ultra marathoners and endurance athletes and those things. But even the people just going to the F45s, the Orange Theories, those gyms, anyone looking to stay healthy, stay fit, set an example for their family, and do it in a way that they can maintain that, because at some point, usually injury or pain can kick in. And there are ways to avoid that, though, proactively, even by proper exercise programming, proper mobility work, strength work. Those things can actually set you up for success before you even need it.
So what is some of the misconceptions too of physical therapy, as far as, or even exercise, like that you can give, say, and I generally don't do this right off the bat, but I want to do this with you. Mm-hmm. Give me 3 actionable items that a person could do to get on their way that isn't going to take, because everyone's like, well, if you go to the gym 6 hours a day and lift heavy every day and then go to CrossFit and then do all, and most people out there listening are like, no, dude, I got a job. Mm-hmm. I got kids. I need to get them ready for school. What is 3 things that a person could do simply that would get them, again, to be able to start their journey on being a little healthier?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think one thing that's low-hanging fruit, we'll call it. Let's like to give people low-hanging fruit of what are some simple things they can do to help start to see some change. And I think the first 5 to 10 minutes of your day, whatever, if you have 2 minutes to devote to it, like first thing in the morning is a really good window to get some general mobility work, stretching, yoga flow, whatever. That can look different with, when people work with us, we get them customized things of like, hey, here's exactly what to do for the sake of a podcast. It's find something that feels good, get your body moving, can be a great thing. Movement throughout the day. It's not so much about finding it. The second thing would be,
so hold on. When you say get it moving in the morning, can I get up and shimmy? Is that gonna help?
You can dance, you can shimmy, you can do whatever you need to do to get things moving. It's better than that. So many people think about the course of our day for the average person's day. When we look at over a 24-hour period, what do? We lay in bed all night. We get up. Usually we maybe shower, brush our teeth, do something. Then we like sit in the car to go on our commute. We get to work, where we usually sit down and sit at the computer. We finish work, we go sit at lunch, we come back, we sit at work, and then we sit on our way back, sit home for dinner, watch TV. There's so much sitting that happens throughout our day, and that's I think people overestimate how much movement they're actually doing throughout a day. And obviously that generalization isn't everyone, but I think people greatly overestimate how much they think they might be doing when they look at it. We're all living pretty sedentary lifestyles for the most part. So that movement, if it's something to get hips should be a priority for that. Upper back flexibility, some stretching for that. Anything to get your posture opened up is usually a good rule of thumb for that.
So that starts it off. Go to number 2. You were just about to number 2, and I interrupted you, which I will do from time to time. I apologize.
That's welcome.
I actually don't apologize on that day. I love it, man. Yeah. So number 2, again, simple, actionable item that you could do.
Yeah, so finding goes along with the sit, but finding walk breaks, those things to stand up. Standing desks are better than sitting, but really movement is more important. Standing is still a sedentary exercise. For those that stand at a desk all day, it's still technically a sedentary exercise, a little better than sitting. But setting a timer if you need to on your phone, doing something where you can get up and just take a walk or do some push-ups, do some body weight squats or some lunges, just something to, if time is an issue, to find time to do it throughout the day. Program it in on the top of every hour, do 10 squats and 10 push-ups, something like that can be a good way for those that really are pressed for time to make sure that you're getting it in, because the culmination over the course of a day and a week is far more important than squeezing in a 60-minute workout or 40-minute workout or something like that.
What about a treadmill desk?
I haven't used one. I have seen some people that have though, and
You've seen them? I haven't seen them. I'm thinking of this. Yeah. This could go wrong real bad.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So I've seen some people that use them, and
there's really a treadmill desk.
Really a treadmill desk. Yeah.
This is probably not working well for them.
It can't be.
It can't be.
I would fall off, or there's no way I would get anything done.
They're probably not going to be a sponsor of the podcast. I would say probably not, especially after I say what I'm about to say. I mean, I jokingly, I think it would be great to have a stand-up desk, and they really have I don't know if any of you out there listening has one. I apologize if you do. But I mean, I would love to try it.
Yeah.
Do you have any friends with them?
I don't know them personally. I think I've just seen them on Instagram and stuff like that. But not to get too far off track, but I actually, my wife and I were walking up and down Neptune the other day. We took a pretty long walk. It was her 30th birthday last week, and we were just enjoying where we're at. And we saw this guy walking up and down Neptune reading a book, and he didn't look up at all. He was literally like in the zone on the book. And we saw him, and we're like, oh, wow, that's pretty impressive. I don't think I could do that. And we probably took a good 45-minute hour walk. We walked back, and he's still coming back reading the book. And I was just in awe about someone's concentration to be able to do that.
I would think at that time audiobook would be for him.
Yeah, I would think so.
You know what I'm saying? But I think that he was probably like my dad, because my dad was like, I will listen to a reel-to-reel until I die. Like, I am not trying to have an iPod on my phone because it confuses me, and I want to have the actual reels. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Or like the person that says like vinyl sounds so much better. It does, but a recording of vinyl on digital would probably be even better.
Exactly. I don't want to get too far sidetracked there, but I thought it was super impressive on our treadmill desk talk. Yeah.
Treadmill desk. Okay, so go on. So number one, get up and shimmy. Dance a little bit. Those of you listening, I mean, you have to check out. The website is iostrengthperformance.com.
Yep.
Okay. If you really, I mean, if you want to go deeper, you got to do that, and you got to check out Dave anyway, which I think would be amazing. You and your wife have a phenomenal business. But for those of you who haven't visited the website yet, you can, and it's up in that corner. All you have to do, are we pointing the right way, Dave? All you have to do is just scan the QR code, and when you scan the QR code, you go right to iostrengthperformance.com. So get up and shimmy.
Shimmy.
Do a little something. You said a little hip work. Get a little hip work going, a little back posture, whatever it is. Second one, throughout the day, little incremental, get up, do some push-ups, whatever. Okay? Third thing,
to I don't want to come across oversimplified with this, but find something you love. Like that's something that I think it's something we've heard, and sure, like we can hear that, and I don't want you guys to just hear that. Like actually think about what you enjoy doing that could be active, whether that's walking, biking, surfing. If it is working out, like going to the gym, doing that. If you enjoy walking on a treadmill, go for it. Like not my thing, but find something you love. Because I think so many times we try how does the thought process work? Like, oh, I want to get healthier. I want to lose weight. So maybe we search like, what do we need to do to lose weight? And it's like the things tell you like, well, this is what you have to do it. You have to eat these foods. You have to follow HIIT training, or you have to lift weights. You have to do cardio. And it's like, maybe, but so much of that's sometimes we make things too black and white. There's a lot of ways to get healthy, and you look at a lot of people that are really aging well and staying healthy, and a lot of it revolves around they've found something that they really enjoy doing, and you just make that the majority of what you're doing. Sure, these other things we can talk about are good to supplement in there, but sometimes we overcomplicate things in terms of how we eat or how we work out and do those things because the trend says this, or it says that I have to do this, but that's really can be a disservice for a lot of people.
Well, I think it's timely right now. It's December 28th today. Mm-hmm. Okay. Everyone in 3 days is going to be going through the same exact thing. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. Yep. What is the most unhealthy, healthy thing that people do?
That's a good question. The most unhealthy, healthy thing.
Because people will be like, yo, don't eat avocados. And then another person will be like, eat avocados. And then a person who maybe isn't great, or maybe their body doesn't respond well. I'm using avocados as an example. But what's the thing that you and your wife see, and you see it and you're like, you're doing that, but it is not getting you any closer to where you want to be, but you're maybe being active, or you're maybe doing something. And so that's what I mean when I phrase that part of what's the most unhealthy, healthy thing that people do. What would that be for you, Dave?
I think the timing is great, because I don't know how to define this maybe in a phrase, but it's anything pushing for quick results, I think is that thing where we talk cleanses, we talk 30-day resets, we talk those things. I think all those things are unhealthy for, not for I think they can get results, but it sets so many people up for, it often makes health and fitness not fun. It makes it usually like there's some degree of that has to be suffering with it. It creates a
you don't have to suffer to be healthy.
You don't have to suffer.
Does your food have to suck?
No.
This is news to me.
Mind blowing.
And it's probably news to 99% of the people listening, because generally you think healthy, you think like, I'm going to have to eat wheatgrass and eat twigs. I'm going to have to break off some branches off this tree, and then I'll be healthy.
And it's that absolute mentality of I have to try harder. I have to just have more willpower, this or that. But really, it's people try and condense a time frame that's more of a, and I know this isn't how Simon Sinek used it, but like an infinite game of we have to look at over the course of your lifetime. Like that's the kind of change you want to be making. And most people are way too overly focused on, and maybe it's for external deadlines of a wedding or, a vacation or something like that they want to look good for. But people condense these time frames into, timelines that just aren't realistic, and they put these expectations on, and they feel like a failure. And it's this terrible mental place to be. So if we can just lengthen our timelines and think about habits that can be sustainable and can be things that you can carry on for the next 50 years instead of the next 50 days, like that's a whole different way to look at it.
You're a young guy. Okay, how old are you?
31.
30. You had to think about that for a second.
Once you get past,
I know.
After 30, I was like,
no, 30, you're still young, man. That's like the new 19.
Right.
At 31, most people at 31 ain't thinking like that. Where did you get that long-term thought process? You know what I'm saying? Because you said, think about 50 years, and I'm like, pow, I wish someone would have told me that at 19, and then I wouldn't have had to, because I've been through numerous times. I've been through my wife telling me, you're going on this cleanse and you are going to only eat sand. You know what I'm saying? Then you're going to be able to have one crawdad. I'm joking with you. And she would just give me a couple sprinkles of sand, and I'd have to be happy. And I've been through these things, and I feel okay. I don't like it. And those of you listening out there, maybe I'm the only one. Maybe I'm the only person out in the world that goes through this, where I go through and I love it when someone gets on a kick too. You've been with a friend on a kick, right? Because they try and convince you. Yep. They're like, I just cleansed. You should cleanse. And they become an expert on cleansing, but they just started. How do you and your wife deal with this in conversation when a person sits down with you and is like, Dave, I know you do your thing and it's 50 years for you, but I got this thing. Take this pill or eat dirt for 30 days straight. How do you deal with it? How do you stay so calm, and how do you look forward and have this long-term mentality? Where does it come from?
Yeah, honestly, it's something I've been blessed to have since, I think back even in like late high school, having this longer game mentality. And I don't know if some of it being sports, some of it being just realizing that if I could outlast people, I wasn't the most talented. I wasn't the most, but like if I could stay in the game long enough, when it comes to sports and doing those things, I found that that's where a lot of my, I guess my success, so to speak, was versus, necessarily like doing something, aggressive. And I saw these people like doing these crazy, like two extreme things in the weight room or those things, and then they would get hurt. And it just like, that was something that never made sense to me. And I don't know if that's a piece of it. I'm sure there's plenty of things I don't even give credit to, but there's always people approaching us with, hey, here's this thing you have to add to your business. Here's this thing that you have to do to supplement what you're doing. And not to say that there aren't those things, but a lot of them are based on this desire we have that like this will get you there faster. This will keep you young. There's such this desire, and we've just found it. And I struggle with this too. I mentally and my brain and my heart don't always connect on it, because I still want the quick results. I still want the, what's that one program, that one thing that will give me all the results but the more I've just self-experimented on so many different things when it comes to health and business and my personal development, and there's just so many things that I've experimented with, and it always comes back to the base. Like it always comes back to the things that, okay, this is going to take time. This is going to, like, nothing is a shortcut really to get there. And that's just come from a lot of trial and error, I think, and a lot of experimentation with different workout programs and nutrition. Like, I haven't tried 30 days of dirt, but I've tried just about everything else, I think, from some of those things. So
you got to hang out with my wife, man. My wife is funny that way. We did one, and I can't remember what, we took everything out, and it was right when the pandemic started. And it was awful, because like I just wanted to enjoy something, you know what I'm saying? Like everything got shut down, and here I was, and I was like, I remember getting the chips for the first time, and the chips were the kind that you could eat on this cleanse. Mm-hmm. Man, I smashed them like a crack addict. You know what I'm saying? Like a crack addict. Hadn't had crack in like 2 months. I just gobbled them, everyone, and they were awful. And I taste them now, and I'm like, why would you ever eat it? But they tasted so good.
Good compared to dirt, yeah, I bet.
Help me with something that Dave tried quick that was a bad fail.
Oh man, my wife could rattle off probably 100 of. I think I let them go quicker than than she does. I've tried all sorts of things. I'm trying to think of what's.
I got to give you a caveat too, because my wife, I'm giving her a hard time, but I'm the guy who goes all in like stupid. Like I remember I got on a push-up kick. This was right during the pandemic too, and I thought I want to be able to see if I could do 10 push-ups, right? And so I did 10 push-ups because I used to do a lot of push-ups. And then the next day I was like, well, I can push a little bit and do 15. And then I was like, man, maybe I'll do 2 sets of 15. I swear to you, Dave, within 3 weeks, I was up to 300 push-ups a day, which is the dumbest thing in the world. And one day I was like, I'm going to push past. I'm going to see how many I can do. I did 600 push-ups in one day. In a small period of time, I injured my shoulder and was not able to do push-ups for honestly, I still haven't done them, and it's been a year. Mm-hmm. What is something that you went all in on that you were like, wow, I should go back to Dave's mentality as opposed to the worldly mentality?
Yeah, I can think of, all sorts of anything that's had different like liquid only during the day type stuff, like smoothie stuff, different like drinks with special herbs. I don't even remember what I've thrown in there, but there's even just like some like here's one that my wife got a kick up too, where like I was in this big, we had maybe been out here for a year or something, and there's reading a lot on like grounding and the importance of I don't know if you heard like getting your feet in the sand and in the grass and stuff too, and like cold plunging, like those types of things. I'm like, oh, it's perfect. I'll combine both of those. We lived fairly about a 10-minute walk from the beach. So I was like, and I was into getting up early at that point too. So 4 a.m. and I'm like, oh, just combine all these things. And I would jog to the beach at 4 a.m. and just run out and jump in the water. And it was pitch black, and we were new here, and my wife, she was hesitantly on board with it, but I realized how dumb of an idea this was after a while, when I'm like, it's 4:15 a.m. Like and there was one day where the tide was so low, and I'm like, babe, I felt like I was just like walking for a mile just to get to the water. And she's like, do you think that's smart? Like, was anyone out there? I'm like, no, it was great. And she's like, do you think that's smart? And I'm like, yeah, I should probably stop doing that. And there's just certain things that I look back on, I'm like, it doesn't make any sense of why I would have to combine those things in that order to do it. But I'm sure she has a bunch more examples too, like that.
So why is it so important for you? Because like literally right when we started talking, we connected the other day, and we were out, and again, I could see your heart. And it wasn't like you were saying, you were baiting me with, this is what I do, and then you've been around a person like that, like the bait and switch. They'll give you a little something and then they'll just draw you in. But I could feel it from you. Why is it so important that a person is whole from the inside out, as opposed to, because a lot of people in your profession, in the physical therapy space, are like, I'm going to get your arm better. But you and your wife aren't doing that. You guys are thinking on I'm going to get your arm better, and then your arm caused something else to be, there was a cause for that arm to be there. So we're going to work on that, and then we're going to work on the inside, and which is so important. Why is that so important to you, man?
It's huge, yeah, and that's really what our business is built on. Is when we talk relationships, and we talk about actually being able to form those with the clients we work with. It's something that can't be, we can't just address a shoulder pain. Almost all the time we see there's usually some kind of, when it happened, it's either, it can directly, the body's insane. It can directly be a result of emotional trauma, like things that happen, losses, those things too. Like our bodies don't know the difference in those stresses. And a lot of times things that, aren't even correlated to a specific movement or anything, like that can happen from change in life situation, different stressors. But what also happens though, anytime there is any kind of injury for someone that's active, that 100% affects what's going on mentally for them, what's going on emotionally, what's going on relationally for them. If someone who loves to run hurts their knee pretty bad and they can't do that, if you guys know any runners, like think about how much of a stress outlet that is. Think about how much of a community builder that is. Think about how much that is. And we have these people coming in that are just, they're beat up physically. Sure, they have an injury, but it's affecting the way they're parenting. It's affecting the way that they're dealing with stress. That their marriage is not in as good of a place. And this stuff doesn't all come out in one. But as we get to know people, we realize the effects that we've just seen. The effects that this has on people beyond just a knee hurting. It's affecting so many different areas of their life. So if we just focus on doing that without addressing what's actually going on in their life, and what are some other ways then that we can, in that case, what are some other ways you can have a stress outlet? Maybe there's things like meditation or journaling or different things that we need to talk through this. Some people haven't experienced of, if we don't replace what was a healthy outlet with another healthy outlet, then what happens is an unhealthy outlet comes in of, people start drinking, they start gaining weight, they start doing these other things. So what started out as a knee injury ends up with someone snapping at their kids and snapping at their wife and not being fun to be around because they can't do the one thing that is able to help them. So that's just one example of a lot of things we see, because our bodies are so connected. We can't just look at a knee injury or shoulder injury and not take into account how that's affecting other areas of your life, because it's going to do a disservice to actually truly getting better. Because also people that identify so much with running or with those things too, this is the the ultimate opportunity we have as healing providers to be able to show people that running is not who you like. Kelly, you are Kelly. You are not your business. You are not your podcast. You are not any of these achievements you've had. And same way that an injury can take people out of that, people losing a business or things happening like that. It's the same talking point, that we can show people that they don't have to identify with their running or their achievements or those things too. There's so much in the health and fitness industry that's tied to that, and we want to be able to break that and just love people for who they are as they're coming in.
This is an uncommon approach in your business, in your industry. So when you maybe shared this with friends, when you and your wife were first starting your business, and you were like, hey, we're going to look at this, and then we're going to think about their marriage, and we're going to think about them drinking. I mean, you had to come up against resistance where they were like, I don't know if anyone's going to be comfortable with that. How do you bridge that? Like, say I come in and right now my shoulder is hurting, right? And it really is. Now, you would have to fix my stupid, because I went to a video. We went to Dave & Buster's with my buddy Greg Reed. Shout out to him. But his son and my son are playing games, and him and I get to playing games. We're kind of competitive. So we did the baseball throw thing. And he threw it the first time, and he got like 45 miles an hour, and I was like, I could beat that. So I didn't warm up, stretch my arm, anything like that, and I just threw as hard as I could. And then I did this probably 10 times consecutively. This was not an emotional challenge. Well, it is an emotional challenge because it was stupidity. But But how do you bridge that conversation, man? Because most people come in, when they're coming in to see you guys from the physical therapy standpoint, they don't know what they're about to get hit with. I think that's amazing. And you're going to be able to, but tell us about how you're able to navigate it, and what were some of the oppositions that, you know, when you told a friend about, you know, or a friend or anyone about you guys' business, how you're going to go about it. What were some of the objections?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, starting with the objections, we've met plenty of them on all sorts of things. I don't think I tied timing together that we moved out from the Midwest to California in 2016, and within 6 months had the business started. Once just got feet under us and figured out where it was something I knew that I wanted to start, and Lindsay was still working for a healthcare system at the time, but so when we've brought these things up to friends and family in the Midwest, and we love a lot of them to death, but a lot of that was just like, what happened when you guys moved out to California? Like, everything's just like, well, California changed you, this and that. It's like, no, this is something we would have done there, but you know, people, we definitely met opposition with it in terms of like, how is that possibly going to work? Or maybe it'll work out there, but it's just something that, I think it can sound, and maybe as talk about it on a podcast, maybe it sounds more extreme than it does to, it's just like, that's just what we do. And I think we accomplish that through, it's not forced, or it's not some, you know, process we have in our initial script or something where we're like, make sure you ask about drinking and home life and those things too. I think people feel safe when they come in to work with us too, just through questioning. We leave plenty of space for, you know, really making sure there's nothing else that we don't, we also don't just stop at like, oh, I'm here because my knee hurts. It's, we try and like actually figure out what's going on, because there are a lot of those things, people knowing that all these things can affect how well they do, and people are going to want to, you know, open up about some more of those things, but we just leave plenty of space for it in the initial session and during our sessions too. That's something that why it's so important to get a full uninterrupted hour with someone once a week, twice a week, rarely 3 times a week, but 1 to 2 hours a week with someone. A lot of people don't get that time with their spouse or with a lot of other people, which we've, I think I took for granted early on. I realized, I'm like, man, people are like really opening up, and it's just creating a trusting atmosphere. We believe a lot in, you know, creating a safe place. And I guess that can be like a little sometimes buzzword, so I don't like using it, but we really do just create, you know, a safe environment for people to be able to share in time where we get to know them. And it's not just about, hey, here's your list of the plan we're going to be doing. We generally care about people and their families and getting them better. So I think those are probably some of the things that stand out.
I think it's amazing, man. I mean, I think more businesses need to look at that aspect. And I think a lot of times people don't want to go as deep. They don't want to be able to do it. They want to think that, hey, I provide the service, you get the service, you get out, or whatever it is. And I find that more and more people want to have something where they're connected to. They want to be able to have a community. They want to be able to have someone who is, I mean, honestly, that's the dream, to be able to have someone like you at your level that would actually care about what is really going on, as opposed to, you came, here's your knee, I'm gonna fix your knee, and then get out. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I think it's amazing. It's incredible what you're doing. I want to go back a little bit, because you talked about the healthcare system and the healthcare system kind of being broken. You know, we hear this on, you know, news, or I don't listen to the news, but, you know, wherever you get your news. Mm-hmm. Talk to us about being healthy that will stop the ailments in the first place, right? Because that's what I catch from you is like, well, if we'll think long term, then you're not going to have to deal with this thing that I'm going to have to come in and do a quick fix on. Mm-hmm. Right? Can you talk to us about that and how people could start to look that way with their health, as opposed to, you know, I'm gonna deal with it when I get sick, or I'm gonna deal with it when I get hurt. What I've heard you say, and, you know, not so many words, is that we're going to get you prepared that when you do hit that challenge, your body is going to be okay, and it's going to move right past it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When we look at another way to look at, when we talk, you know, when health has to come from the inside out, and that requires a change in a change in thinking, that requires a change in how you're approaching your health too, where if we continue to get stuck in following the news or blindly following our doctor, and there's some amazing doctors out there, so I don't want this to come across as a knock on doctor. We're doctors ourselves, and but if you just blindly trust the person in front of you who may have only 5 minutes to see you and gives you a quick prescription and says, go see the next specialist who is a surgeon who tells you need surgery or tells you need pain meds, that just can be a slippery slope to go down. Just blind trust in a system where a lot of people don't know any better, and they jump into something too soon that is promised to help that doesn't end up helping, and they end up back to us or similar thing in that we could have prevented all this from the first. We could have saved thousands of dollars and time and money and stress and frustration and those things too. So I think it requires a change in your thinking first, of saying what things am I missing? What things can I try? And that's being more proactive in terms of, before these things start is the best time to plant a tree analogy, but being proactive is the best time. But even those that are further along on, maybe you're dealing with more pain or an injury that's been going on for a long time, to not be to not assume that the way it's always been, or the way that maybe your parents or friends or family have done things is the way that you have to go. I think being open to other options out there. There's so many good practitioners and individuals and people out there that are creating healing environments that don't necessarily go in line with the mainstream healthcare system as it is. So I think it requires, though, first a change in thinking and knowing that it's okay. You're probably gonna have to pay out of pocket to see some of these individuals that are not going the traditional route. And again, you have to change that mindset. Of a lot of people are like, no, but I got to use my insurance. Like I pay money, or my employer pays money for my insurance, and I have to use that. And it's like, well, if there's another person out there that can help you get there, it's being able to weigh out what's important to you. And we think health's the best investment that people can make in terms of physical, mental, spiritual, emotional health. All those things is making sure that you're investing in that and not seeing it as a cost.
You were talking about earlier too, being healthy for your family. Help me with this. You hit it and then you moved on, but it was something that really stuck out to me that you said. And like for our listeners out there, why should, like, say for me, I've got 2 children. Why should I be healthy for my family?
It's our future. It's the future of your family and your legacy. It's the future of this community. It's the future of the example you set. And I don't like to keep health to, because we don't think health is just your physical being or your physical stature, any of those things too, like how your spiritual health is, your physical health, your mental, your emotional, the health of your relationships. Those things are the things that your kids and your family and your friends are gonna see. And that's where we can really change this community and change this country and have an impact is through living that out in a way that people are like, I want that, like that. I want what they have, and I want to try and model that. And a lot of people, if you just try and get healthy for selfish reasons, you'll probably, or for vanity reasons, you'll probably fall off at some point. You'll do a 30-day dirt cleanse, and all of a sudden you'll be like, man, this stuff doesn't work. If that doesn't work, I don't think anything.
Want to eat all those chips, man.
Will.
And I seriously, when I came off the dirt cleanse, I wanted to eat everything in sight.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I want to smash that. Okay, probably one of the big, for all my guys out there listening, you're going to love that I asked this question. Actually, all of you listening, you love that I ask every damn question. But for the guys out there, there's a place that all of us want a little bit of help, and it's our belly, right? And so, honestly, like I'll sit in the mirror, and I remember one time, one time is like every morning, is I'll look at myself in the mirror, and I'll look straight on, which straight on, I look good all the time, like all the time. I don't even need to change anything. I feel good. I turn to the side, that's a different story. But there's a thing that I do. I just kind of suck in my stomach a little bit, and I'm like, as long as I just suck in all day, I'm good. Most guys go through this, and some of them are just like, nah, just get a bigger shirt, bro. What are some actionable items that a dude, I mean, because that's probably one of the biggest challenges for a guy, right? But it does cause other challenges too, right? I mean, what other challenges does a big old belly give you? I mean, what other ailments are you going to end up with if you just let the belly go and get a bigger shirt? And how can we make the belly,
Yeah.
Give us, I mean, I'm not asking for a 30-day. I'm saying like 32 days. You know what I'm saying? I'm just joking. What are some of the things that we can do?
Yeah. Good question on both fronts. If I can figure out how to lose the gut in 30 days, we will. I think that's the thing we're all chasing, right?
Yes. But then you're going to be fatter afterwards. You look. Hey, everyone out there listening, seriously, you go on a cleanse, you lose weight. And I've been in the hairdressing industry for 29 years. I watch people go on cleanses, go on diets. They are always fatter after they're done.
Right.
Always. Like 6 months later, they're always fatter. And then they're like, "Oh, I'm about to go on it again." I'm like, "You're about to get fatter again." So.
Long-term mentality.
Long-term mentality.
Infinite game. Yeah.
Okay. Think infinite game, but help help us guys with the belly.
I can do both that.
Okay.
First off, the dangers. Yeah. The abdominal fat is actually more closely linked to like visceral, like organ problems. It's a much unhealthier fat than one that's distributed elsewhere, and they call it the beer belly. They call it, but that excessive fat around your stomach is actually more closely linked with like heart problems and organ problems and those things too, where people think it's sure the vanity stuff isn't fun, but for people that carry most of their weight around their midsection is probably one of the less healthy places to carry it and without getting just with how the body stores it and all that. So that's something to know that it's not just for vanity purpose. There is less long-term health linked with excessive belly fat. In terms of,
give us some specifics though, because the reason why I'm saying this really, I love this because there was a guest that I had years ago, and she was blonde, and she started to get real dark right in her widow's peak, and I had no idea, but it was a thyroid problem. And the thyroid problem, like it's one of the symptoms, is you get dark hair right in your widow's peak or right in the center, and that's how the doctor was able to diagnose it and see it. And then she actually, she had to have, surgery immediately and all these things. Tell us some specific, when you said that it's the most unhealthy area. I didn't know that. That's why I sat up. I was like, man, I need to start working on this because I carry a lot in my belly, right? I mean, no one sees it because everyone thinks that I'm super fit, especially people watching the podcast and things like that. What are some specifics of like, and I know you can't diagnose everyone out there listening, because everyone out there listening is like, oh, he's about to give a quick fix. No, he's not. Mm-hmm. We're talking long-term here. But what are some of the things that I should be aware of if I'm storing it in my belly then?
Right. Yeah. So the things that are concerning is, I mean, think about where all our organs lie in our midsection. And it's when you think of the beer belly, the stuff that's really unhealthy is a lot of people have excess, like if you grab onto something,
a little something.
That's not the problem. The problem is when it's
when it's hard,
definitive, the hard, where it's not like just like, oh, that's a little bit extra fat. It's like that's not just like, oh, I've been doing a lot of sit-ups, but the hard thing, because that's with where all our organs are, a lot of times that's and I can't remember if the belly fat's a result of or if it leads to, but it's correlated with more fat around your organs, which is, as we may know, like that's a problem for a lot of things. As you age, if you have more fat around your organs, that's going to affect how they're functioning and how those things are, just working. And if, of course, we want to be healthy and we want to look lean, but we want our organs to be working really, really well for a lot of years ahead of us. So that's where that stuff's important. But again, where we get caught, and I will talk about some things that can help with belly fat, but where we get caught is we think like, oh, well, then I just need to like target my belly fat and I'll be healthier. It's like, that's a result of other things that are going on versus like people think, well, if I just like can target some spot loss here, which isn't how it works anyways. If I can target some spot loss here, then my organs will be healthier too. So that's why I'll do it. So it's knowing that, okay, what's the reason this happened on, and a lot of times that, in terms of some practical things that can happen for it, like alcohol is definitely a factor for that. Not that we can't enjoy alcohol, but like in any kind of excess is going to have that.
Is there any kind of alcohol that you can drink and it's not going to do that? Or does all alcohol like blanket across the board? Or is it like harder liquor does it stronger? Does beer do it more? Or is it just alcohol in general?
Honestly, I don't even want to pin alcohol as a problem. We have to think of this as a whole of alcohol, in addition to chronically elevated blood sugar levels, poorly controlled insulin, our hormone, like how our hormones and how our system internally is, how the health of our overall ecosystem is of our insides. And that's gut health. That's our hormones. That's all those factors working together. So alcohol in the presence of poorly controlled blood sugar, those things too, that's where we get into problems, is when there's multiple factors of elevated blood sugar, elevated weight, elevated blood pressure. Like when you have multiple things that are not where they need to be. Alcohol for a healthy individual that's, eating reasonably well and moving, a reasonable amount is not a problem at all. Like, I don't want to pin alcohol as the bad thing. I guess I should clarify that, because
some people were like, "I like Dave" until he said that. I ain't getting rid of my malt liquor. I'm just joking with you. Yeah. Is there ever a time where malt liquor is good for you?
If it helps your soul, like, I think that's. I don't think there's a problem with it. If it's soul food, yeah. Is soul food ever good or bad?
Okay, so I love this because, Dave, I keep trying to get you to give me a quick fix, and every time you will never give me a quick fix, man. Like, how does that relate into your life? Because you're always like, and for those of you listening again to this, or you're watching it, and he's staying cool, calm. He's like, "No, Kelly, there is not a 30-day. There's no 32-day." I even tried to get you, like, I know there's no 30-day day.
32.
But is there a 32-day? You know what I'm saying? Like, I just need that. But every time you went back to, let's look at the root of the challenge. How does this work for you in relationships in your life? Are you, when you have a challenge with someone, are you constantly looking at the root? Are you stepping back, and are you as calm in relationships as you are in what you've mastered in your profession?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, integrity is one of our family core values, and I don't see a different. I don't. You're not going to see one person at work and a different person at home and a different person in our marriage. That's just important to me. I try and avoid. I'm training to avoid compartmentalizing different areas of life too, where it's that can be a challenge. But I think sometimes to a fault. Yeah, it's stepping back, and it's looking at a root cause, and something with Lindsay is probably not always the best way to to go about it. But I think that is something that's kind of carried over to different areas. I think the good of that is in relationships. Is it's not like I'm gonna lose my cool and break up with a friend or something because of something that's said. It's willing to see things through, willing to look past and like what do they really mean? But like, was that or was there just one of those days where to not take things personally in that sense, and be able to be persistent, be patient in the relationship or in the different areas. But the negative side of that, and something that I've really had to work through, is that it almost leads to a delayed gratification of sometimes if you're only looking at the long game and doing that. And I think, and I don't know, any business owners listening can probably relate, is it's like, well, these are our big goals, and always like vision, always looking ahead to the future and vision. And it's like, okay, well, we're not there, and this is what we need to get and lose sight of celebrating the wins. There's a lot of, I've had to really force myself. It's really hard for someone like myself to stop and enjoy the victories. It's like, nope, well, that's great, but we're still going towards this vision, or we're still going towards this bigger thing. So there's always it's never just good or just bad. It's always, there's challenges that come with different traits like that and those things. So I think the good that can be taken from it, I think leverage that, but also being aware of the any kind of natural personality types of those things. Some coaches we work with, there's always a healthy side of it, and there's always an unhealthy side of how that's projected and how that is with personality types or mindsets or beliefs or those things. So being aware of both those and knowing how to leverage the good, but also be aware of when you're projecting something unhealthy in your marriage or in any of those things.
So right in line with that, number one is we do still need to hear a couple tips on how to with the belly. Yep. Okay. Because you sidestepped that one for a second there, Dave. You're trying to get out of it because he was like, look, I'm not promising any of these listeners a 32-day program. So it's a 33-day program to guarantee. I'm just joking with you. No, but what are some of the things that we can do, to start to, I keep seeing the Instagram ad. And the Instagram ad it shows a body, and it's a illustration. It shows a body with the belly. And then it's like, you start doing these things, and then the belly goes. That's not real. But if it's on Instagram, it has to be.
It's got to be.
Can you help us with this, Dave? Like, why is that not real? Why can't I just work hard and target this one area to be better? And what could I do? What would be the right answer?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not real in that time frame, the 60-second attention span or the 30-second attention span or anything like that. But that's what draws us in. Like, wow, I need that in that amount of time. Literally, by tomorrow, but it's not that's not real. I've seen people get amazing transformation in their physical from consistent disciplines, from the things that that work. But when it gets to, I don't mean to sidestep the practical side of it. If I had to make some generalizations that most guys definitely, I'd say the ladies as well, but hormones are different guys to girls, but most guys can benefit from a lower carb approach, like staying away from fast acting sugars, even like fruits for a lot of guys,
Really? Fruit? Like apples?
Timed around work, like making sure it's timed around workouts.
When's the best time to eat an apple?
Around a workout, before or after a workout.
Before or after. Mm-hmm. It doesn't keep the doctor away, though.
I wouldn't say it keeps the doctor away.
It doesn't?
No.
Where did that come from?
Probably the Apple Corporation. I don't know on that one.
So you mean I've been lied to my entire life?
Possibly.
That an apple a day is just keep the doctor away, man. Yeah. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
And you're telling me you're killing me. You want to tell me some other things like the Easter Bunny ain't real too?
Easter Bunny's real.
Okay,
apple a day
thank
will
you.
Not keep the doctor away.
Got it. So it's good around a certain time. So you said the fast acting sugars. Give me some other fast acting sugars. Fruit.
Yeah, most berries wouldn't fall into that. Like raspberries, strawberries, blueberries tend to be more preferred. Like bananas, apples, pears, oranges. Those things are more higher in sugar content. And so think about when we talked about controlled insulin and blood sugar levels. That would probably be the overarching way of saying how to best control stomach fat. Would be how do we maintain fairly consistent, not these big spikes in big blood sugar up and then big blood sugar drop, which means I crave another piece of fruit or another candy bar. Another, like the more you can minimize the ups and downs of your body's blood sugar responses would probably be the best way to, simply speaking, to manage the belly fat. So staying away from things that cause that spike, more consistent things. I'm a big fan of intermittent fasting. I think, I know it's a big buzzword out there, but I think some window, it doesn't have to be as long as most people say, but some window of not.
Break it down for us though, because when people hear intermittent fasting, they, a lot of times people go to like, well, I don't believe like that. Like they instantly go to the Bible. You know what I'm saying? They go to that part, or they go to starvation. Mm-hmm. Break it down so my 10-year-old son would understand intermittent fast. And I keep messing the word up. Yeah. Fasting.
Yeah. Well, as you know.
Intermittent.
Yeah. Intermittent. Fasting.
Intermittent.
Yeah.
Did I say it right?
You got it. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, if people go to their Bible with it, fasting's very biblical. So that's
okay.
That's a good starting place.
It's a good starting place. But I mean, a lot of people are scared of reading the Bible anyway.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're like, oh, you're a Bible thumper. I'm like, nah, I mean, I read it. Yeah. You know what I mean? I read it, get some good stuff from it.
Yep.
But help me because people are scared a lot of times. They hear that word or it becomes a buzzword and they either go all in or they're like, I ain't trying to do that. Break it down for my 10-year-old son, intermittent fasting.
Yeah, so intermittent fasting would be, so think there's a feeding window and a fasting window. So that's about as simple as it gets. We all do this where if you're not...
I'm thinking of a window in the house, though. You said a window.
Window of time.
Window, okay.
A 24-hour period.
I'm 10 right now. I said explain it to my son, yeah. Dave. Come on.
I got to bring it back.
Okay. So when I just saw 2 windows in the house, and I was like, wow, I go to the feeding window, and then the fasting one, it doesn't, I mean, okay. So not windows.
So let's start over, yeah. So there's 24 hours in a day. You get to choose how many of those hours are in a eating time
Feeding,
frame.
like the trough. I'm
Feeding.
thinking of it, the trough.
There's a trough.
Okay.
And then there's the fasting time frame where you don't have anything to eat.
How could you trick your mind into not thinking of it as starvation? Could you say, like, this would be an activity trough or activity space?
Yep.
And when you're running or you're playing basketball, you don't eat during the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, or a thinking space, a reading space, a sleeping space, a stomach shrinking space can be another way to think of it. Like people
32 days.
People will be all for it.
I mean, 33. Sorry.
33,
We're thinking long term.
Yeah, we got to go long.
We're going long term on this one. Okay. So break down like a healthy intermittent fasting. You know, you said 24-hour time. We got the eating trough, and then we got the space for activities, taekwondo, you know, stuff like that. Break it down for me.
The easiest way I would start if someone's never done it before, 12 hours of you eat your meals and then 12 hours of not eating. And that would be, so think from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., you can have your meals, you can, do whatever. At 8 p.m. you stop until 8 a.m. the next morning is a simple place for people to start. And that's technically intermittent fasting. A lot of people don't realize that it doesn't have to be these long periods of windows. Now, depending on who you ask, ideal is working closer probably to 14 or 16 hours of the fasted window, which, again, sounds like a lot. But if we talk 14 hours of fasting, then we're talking don't eat until 10 a.m., eat what you need until 8 p.m., and then stop eating.
Or stop eating at 6 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it'd be the same. Do you do it in the middle, though? Do you break yours up and have, like, a trough time and then a taekwondo time and then a trough time? Do you do it like that when you're awake, or do you just do the whole awake time you're allowed to get after the trough?
Yeah, so the awake time, you're allowed to have whatever, and then in the fasting time, you're not supposed to have.
So you don't break that up. So you wouldn't do like 8 hours, 4 hours.
Correct.
You don't do that.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. I love you, Dave. I loved you before, but the fact that you just, I don't know if anyone's mind is blown right now. They're probably not, because they're educated over fourth grade. But my mind is blown right now because I was so, it was so complicated. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times when things are complicated, and this goes back to what you were talking about before about eating and diet, and so this is where I want to go, is so many people are like, I want to eat healthier, but I don't live next to a Whole Foods. Help us out here, Dave.
Yeah, so this comes back to, to continue to tie a bow on our stomach fat conversation, is managing blood sugar, and that can happen through cutting down on the sugars, cutting down on the
dark chocolate. Do you got to get rid of dark chocolate?
No, you don't got to get rid of dark chocolate.
That's good for you.
Yeah,
all the time.
All the time, sure.
Okay. So really, are you joking with me?
I'm a dark chocolate fan. Yeah.
So a dark chocolate.
Well, I guess when you say all the time.
Okay. No, I mean, I'm older, man. I'm 46. I eat dark chocolate. Like, my kids are like, that's nasty. I love me some dark chocolate. But I like to think in my head, I'm like, it's healthier. Is it?
Yeah.
It is?
Yeah.
Why?
It's antioxidants in there, and
there we go.
Again, you can just
say that again. Say Brooklyn. Kelly should eat dark chocolate.
Brooklyn. Kelly should eat lots of dark chocolate.
Yes, all the time.
Most of the time.
Damn, Dave! I can't get Dave to sign off on my my stupidity. So
you're wearing the priorities of how much do you want dark chocolate, how much you want a flat stomach. Like, that's where I'm trying to play the
okay.
I'm trying to play the friend on both sides of that.
Okay, so help us out again, where you said that you're tying a bow on the belly fat part of it, and so we're not going these highs and lows. I love, Dave, your message is so consistent, and I don't know if you realize this, but when you say peaks and valleys with eating, you said the same exact thing with fitness. It wasn't the peaks and valleys. It was long term. You said the same thing when you were talking about relationships. You have a consistent message that is so ridiculous. I mean, it's amazing to be able to hear it. And this is just a normal conversation, So continue on with the food part, because this is where people get caught up. I have heard 80% of your fitness or your health is the way you eat, 20% is the way you work out. Is this true?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty accurate.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Pretty accurate.
I'd say it's yes, very accurate.
Okay. So I would
80-20, 90-10, 70-30, and I'd say the majority falls on the nutrition.
Really? Sure. Okay. So that means that I could eat better and just not have to work out as much.
If I could choose from being completely dialed in on my nutrition or my fitness, and what would carry the most weight with it would be nutrition.
Okay.
Without a doubt. Yeah.
Simplify our nutrition, because when I was saying that the person is like, I don't live near Whole Foods, I live in the Midwest. There's people that are listening that live in the deep Midwest. And in the deep Midwest, it is easier to get you a cheeseburger. You're from there. We had a salon in Chicago for years and years and years. It is so much easier to get you some fries and a double cheeseburger with some butter on it than it is to, oh, you're in California, you're going to get some kale chips. Everything's organic. How do you eat healthy simply?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think along the same things we're talking about of prioritizing the quality food that you have, that doesn't have to be organic, that doesn't have to be free range, grass fed, but you should, if you're in a I gotta be hesitant how to say this, not call people out, like vegetables are not bad. Like vegetables are good to be the majority of our diet. Should be every meal should have some vegetable in that. If we're talking stabilizing blood sugar, if we're talking, the low calorie, more satisfying, those things, have some veggies, have some good protein, and minimize the sugars and those things for the most part. And doesn't mean you can never have those things, but that's a simplified way of having some veggies and protein and some healthy fats, some avocado, some olive oils, whatever you have on hand, some nuts. I think sometimes we overcomplicate it, but a good fat, a good protein, a good veggie as the base of most meals is going to be a great recipe for a lot of people to see some really good results, regardless of what they have available food-wise and those things.
I remember my dad used to do this. Like my dad would be like, I ate healthy because I had some frozen vegetables and I put them up in the microwave and I ate them bad boys, and it was, so I've been eating healthy. Help the people out there to understand again, we're going to go to the unhealthy, healthy stuff. Mm-hmm. What are some of the most common missteps in nutrition that people make?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't think, I think frozen veggies get a bad rep, but
okay. All right.
They're actually,
what if you microwave them?
Yeah, you're not going to get as much of the nutrients, but it's not like it's going to be bad for you.
Okay.
Yeah. I think
so my pop was on point then.
Yeah,
all right,
as long as you didn't butter everything and it wasn't all corn. If it's all corn, it's like that might defeat the purpose a little bit on some of those. But
okay,
I think not getting caught up if frozen veggies is your most likely way of eating them and the best way that you're going to do it. I don't get caught up in those details. I think that's still better than none. Yeah.
What about the supplement world?
I think if you have your nutrition primarily dialed in, then you can supplement with some things. But for most people, supplements aren't necessary for if we're talking like fat loss and those things too. Just get it through your diet.
What about the things like my mom was she grew up in a different era, so healthy was different. Mm-hmm. I remember her getting on a juice plus kick, where she was like, I can't get my fruits and vegetables. I can't eat them, so I'm going to take them in this little capsule. Mm-hmm. Help me. Again,
there's supplements. If you're not eating any fruits and vegetables, is getting something in a greens powder, a capsule, going to be better than nothing? Probably. But I think if people are looking for, I think that's more the exception than if people are really digging for. And if people, I don't know if you're digging for right, if people are digging for reasons to not eat, to do it through supplementation, I think we're looking at it from the wrong lens versus.
There we go.
Yeah, there's there's time and a place for supplements in our soil, the quality of our food. There's so many things that have gone down from a quality standpoint that make supplementation probably more necessary than it was in our grandparents' age or anything like that. But if we're looking for supplements to get out of hard work of eating the right foods, then we might be doing it for the wrong reasons.
Dave, I love you, man. I mean, dude, this has been like the polygraph test. He didn't know that he was going to be on the polygraph on the podcast. But it's incredible, man, because I think that this is the questions that I'm asking is like what most of people are searching for, right? They're not searching for long-term, because if you say to me, long-term, we're going to look at it over the next 50 years, I'm going to be like, then how do I know I got better, Dave? And you're going to be like, you're alive. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because people want to see these, highs. And when I say people, I mean, myself, I go through it. There was times where I'd do a push-up and then I'd look at my chest and be like, it's not any different. These push-ups suck. Let's switch the thought process, or let's switch the conversation a little bit. And I mean, it's on the same realm, but into business, because when you're mastering your craft, like there is no way. I've tried to get you to get me a 33-day something, and you were like, nah. That's where you've mastered. That is your craft. A lot of times when people apply business to a craft, then in comes if you market in these 7 steps, then you too will be a 6, 7, 8-figure, 10-figure business. How are you able to navigate that part?
Yeah, that poses challenges, because for someone who, for anyone that comes from, most people that come from a training, a physical therapy background, a health and medical thing, we're not taught, I think chiropractors do a really good job with it, but like we're not taught any business things in school. Zero. We had maybe one business class, and it was like how to build a budget for a hospital system, to like something not even practical business related at all. And I know most PT schools are like that. So came out with zero business knowledge. So the temptation is always there, more so in health something I've always been around. Business though, when it's new, it's like, oh, that would be nice. Like, yeah, 7 steps to do that, or like this one, if I just use their system, their proprietary, software or something, it will lead to this. And I think the temptation's more there for something that, at least as of 5 years ago, was totally foreign to me. So that's had to, come with some hard lessons, the same way that people learn health lessons the hard way, of what does work and what doesn't work. But what do we see time and time again is, it's going to sound like repeating myself, but especially when it comes to like relationships, which is the foundation for our business and our referrals and those things too, and how we've definitely built 80-90% of our business. Where sure, there's some digital marketing things and social media strategies and different, there's different components of that, but that's the minority, a sliver, compared to just relationships, getting results for people, caring about them, building relationships in our community. And there's definitely no 7-step process to building a local relationship and fostering that and getting them to trust you and truly forming relationships that are, that you genuinely care about. Like, hey, how can I help you? How can I serve you, type of thing. So that's something that doesn't come with a 33-day shelf life on it or anything either. So that's something that we've kind of stumbled into while I was looking for the quick fix and those things too. I found that, well, time and time again, it's the slow efforts, the things that at least from a long lasting standpoint, but those things weathered us through a pandemic, and those things weathered us through where I know a lot of friends that got hit harder, had to close down, or any of those things too, because maybe they had a different marketing strategy that wasn't as sustainable, or those things too, like something like relationships. We had so many people rally around us, and so thankful for our community in that sense. But that didn't come from a quick fix or a quick implementation of how to like a marketing strategy or anything like that.
Talk to us too about the pains of the entrepreneurialism, because I think a lot of, especially in today's society, it's very shiny. It's very exciting. Everyone talks about, I'm going to take my side hustle and then I'm going to turn it into a business, and I don't want to work for anybody. And this is how I do it. And I got to be my own boss. Most of the people out there that, if you're listening and you are thinking about going into the entrepreneurial space, there's a lot of stuff that people don't talk about. There's the dirty, the nasty. I mean, there's the part, and I would say that that's the majority of it. The shiny stuff is what they put on Instagram or on Facebook, and they're like, yo, I'm balling or whatever it is. How were you able to navigate that? And especially being newly married, I'm doing the timeline in my head here. You moved out to California. You were very early married at that particular time. I know because I just saw it. It's your daughter is very, very young. So you get married, you open a business, you move across the country, and you have a baby. Talk to me about this.
Yeah, all sorts of challenges, and yet the best things we did in so many ways of the learning and the growth that came from it. From we threw so much at our lives. It's like, okay, are we thankful for the crazy move across the country, starting a business? What combo of things was good, but we wouldn't change it for the world, because we've grown so much through it, and there's been so many challenges from pretty much, I want to say, by no means cutting the cord. Like, we still keep in touch with so many people, but we needed a fresh start. And at the time when we moved out here, we didn't know why we really wanted. Like, when people ask, we're like, we wanted to. We don't really have a great reason. We got married 2 weeks before that. We packed up our cars and we drove whatever we could fit out here. And I was literally applying for jobs on the way
Skirt. Out. Stop right there. 2 weeks, and then you move across the country to where no one is?
Correct.
In probably one of the most expensive places in the friggin' universe to be able to live at.
Accurate.
That's awesome, man.
And we were completely naive at the time, but we're like, oh yeah, what can go wrong with, like, we didn't see like what could go wrong with this? We were so sure. And for us, God had such a hand in that, in looking back, and just the way things were orchestrated. But to get back to your question on the entrepreneurial challenges, and there's just like, there were so many things that we were trying to figure. We were trying to figure out marriage and figure out business, and Lindsay was still working so she became, I'd worked for a couple of years before we moved out while she was finishing up school. So I was able to, create some pocket of savings and pay down a lot of our loans. But then it switched where she's out here. She's the breadwinner, so to speak. I'm like, babe, I got this vision though. And even she at times was like, I know you have this vision. I can't fully see it, but like, this is still stressful. We still have built, and it's like, there have been times where it's like, when are you going to like consider going back to, when it's not working as well as you thought early on. And, those were tough conversations, but things that, even though those conversations came up, she was always by my side and always trusting the vision, even though she couldn't see it. And for anyone married to an entrepreneur out there knows, like, sometimes they have something in their head and we can try explaining it, but it's nothing like, it's hard to tangibly see. So, I'm just so thankful that she was able to stand in the gap and be like, no, like, I don't see all this. I don't know how this is going to work. I don't know what we're doing fully, but like, I trust your leadership. I trust where we're going. And, been so thankful that that's, worked out the way that it has, because it definitely could have ended different ways, which would have created different learning experiences. But, I think it's just the most incredible, like, personal growth and development journey that we've ever been on, that, we wouldn't trade for the world. But to get to your question of what people don't see, is that there was a lot of suck in there too. Like, it's easy to look at the outcome of it and be like, oh, it's all great. But, you have to make sure the order of your life is in the right order first. If business was the number one, or if our health or something was like, things would have crumbled. For us, thankful our foundation was spiritually. We had each other then was the next priority. And then we had making sure we're healthy in those areas we talk about, of spiritually, mentally, physically, all those things. And then it's work and business, and work and business is pretty high up there. It just can't, if we get out of order, things would have crumbled in a different way.
Well, I think it's so incredible, man. And to hear it, and what I'm hearing from you too, man, is like, if you wouldn't have had Lindsay, like, I couldn't imagine, as an entrepreneur, I know, but hearing what you're talking about, I couldn't imagine you going through what you went through without having a spouse that was on the same page. And I'm not saying that we as men, oh, we're leading and you need to fight. And I'm saying that they're propping us up. They're supporting us at times. They're not just supporting like, hey, I support you, but I'm talking about like I'm holding your butt out of the valley.
Yeah.
And it goes back to the whole part of being, healthy from the inside out. And, I think that there's so many entrepreneurs out there, and I see them a ton, that say, I'm going to go and I'm going to be super crush it successful, and that's going to make everything okay. And I watch families fold, and I watch things like that. And at what point is it worth it? You know what I mean? At what, we were very blessed, and we've been very blessed to have, multiple multi-million-dollar businesses. But I found it was crazy because I told my wife when the pandemic hit and all of our income went away, I had a bike that my buddy gave me. He was like, well, you could pay for it if you want. And I said, well, I'll honor you. He said, how much? It was $50. And I remember sitting on the porch and telling my wife, there was these visions of grandeur for me always. Like, I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to have this. I want to have that. And I said, I got to the point where if I can ride this $50 bike to the beach and write and read in the morning, pick my kids up from school, I don't need anything else. So as you're looking now, I mean, obviously you're a very driven individual. You've mastered your craft at a very early age. Most people don't master their craft at 31 years old. And I'm not saying that you're at a place where you don't have to learn, because you're constantly learning. I see that. Your wheels are turning. What do you see for IOstrengthforperformance.com? What do you see for that as you move forward? What is it that you want? Do you want more locations? Do you want the location where you're at just to be at a higher level? What is it? What is it that you see right now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we definitely have a vision for more locations within North County, San Diego specifically, and we haven't. It's not in our heart yet to expand beyond that, but the families are really where we're just finding ourselves drawn to more, though, of the health of the families of our community and those things too. And we talk about how important that is for that it starts at the top of the family in terms of the example people are setting. So that's something that we really have a heart for serving the families out there, and showing people that there is hope. A lot of people that come to see us have tried 2, 3, 4 other PTs, have tried chiro, have tried often surgery or different things, and we get really great results with those people too. So being a place of hope for people that may have lost some of that hope, or think that there's no other ways, or I've tried PT before, or those things too, is definitely something on our hearts of the people that we want to serve. And for those that are on the more proactive side though too, like we do have a more like training, performance, exercise programming side of our business too. That's more for the proactive people that are looking to stay out of that place too. We've got a incredible knowledge base for being able to help people that way as well.
What about the kids? Because I see, and when kids, I notice, right? So you probably see this more than I do, but you see the parents, and generally the kids are going to be, I mean, they're right in tow. I mean, if you look at the fitness of the parents, I have some friends who are freakish athletes. I look at their kids; they're freakish athletes too. How can you break those cycles? Say, like, for those people out there listening that maybe didn't grow up with I grew up with the 4-4-3-2. You know what that is? It was the food pyramid. 4-4-3-2. That's the what was it? That's the combination for me and you. That's what we used to sing. And it was like 4 breads or 4 pieces of meat, whatever it was. But I mean, now I look at it and it's like, if you ate that way, you ain't gonna be around very long. How are we able to decipher? Because two-part question. Number one is, how can we get the kids involved, and how can we break the cycles? But then the other part is, how can we decipher from when something's garbage? Like, because when I was growing up, 4-4-3-2 was it. Like, if you're my age and you hear 4-4-3-2, Dave is looking at me like he's weird. But you out there know it. If you're watching or you're listening, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And then I remember when my first daughter was born, when my first child was born, was my daughter, McKenna, they said no wine at all. It was a myth. And then when my son was about to be born, they were like, we did some new studies. 1 glass of red wine is really good for you. My wife was so happy when she heard that. She was like, yes, the doctor said that I get to have this wine. How do we know that 5 years from now, how do we decipher and know what to believe?
Yeah, a couple good questions there. I think the first one you're speaking on, how to involve the kids. I think,
and how to break the cycle. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not a freakish athlete. How could I get my kids to be freakish athletes? I'd like that because then they can support a brother when he, doesn't want to work anymore.
Yeah, I think freakish athletes a different conversation than how do we involve the kids on being healthy for sure. But
it's a 33-day program.
33-day program. Yeah, that one might take 40. Yeah. But we can make that work. I think involving the kids, a lot of it comes down to example. What are the things we're choosing to do? I think depending where like hikes, active things, getting them into bike riding, sport, like finding things that they love too. I think too often we like try and push kids into certain activities, or say we want to make them freakish athletes, so we sign them up for like 7 days a week of specific sport training. They're like, Dad, I hate this. Why are you having me going that? So I think just finding things that your kid loves. I think that gets creative. I don't want to speak like a parent expert by any means for our little girl's 4 months, turning 4 months old this week. So I've got a long way to go on that sense, but I feel like it would be easy to get complacent with that, or be like, oh, I've tried this, and this. So I don't know, I'm out of options. But it might require a lot of us trying new things and doing that to find things that our kids enjoy. I think being aware of what's going on at from a school standpoint, from those other things. I don't know what schools are feeding kids these days or anything too, but that is something that worries us. There's different things from that sense of being aware of what taking a more active role in what's really going on in their lives. And this doesn't mean that they have to eat perfect. That's the other fear of ours is like going too strict on one thing, and then it creates the falling off in other ways too. So it's an ongoing challenge for parents. It's an ongoing thing, but I think you continue to take an active role in finding what that is from a food standpoint, from a movement standpoint, but the other things that are the foundations that are non-negotiable no matter what is sleep, is some quality foods, getting some kind of movement, stress, not creating a overly stressful environment that can cause unwanted health things. So I think some of those foundations are sort of the core ones, at least to focus on. Anything you want to expand on that before the second part of your question was on?
I do want to just say to our listeners that how consistent this dude is. What he just said is that you need to lead by example, and it's not going to be overnight. And like, it's uncanny how consistent you are, man. Like, you don't find people that actually believe in what they're talking about. They don't. You don't. You scratch the surface, and you know what I mean? Like, you can scratch it a little bit and they'll be like, I don't really believe that. Mm-hmm. But it sounds good for marketing or for whatever it is. And that's why I was so excited to have you on the show, is because I want to expose people to somebody who truly, truly believes and is a master at their craft. If you come to see Dave and you sit down with him, your knee's not going to get better. Your body, your soul, your being is going to get better. You know what I'm saying? I just think, I just want to compliment you on it, man. I just think it's amazing. And it sucks for me because I was like, damn, like I want to break the cycle. And I thought Dave was just going to be the genie in the bottle and be like, well, Kelly, if you do these 3 things, then your kids will be different. And what he said was, no, dummy, if you'll lead by example and think long-term with your kids, then your kid's life can change. And I want my kid's life to change that way. But I do want him to be a freakish athlete in 33 days. So, but go on to the second one. Maybe
the next guest will be
okay.
Maybe more promising for that. No. But I appreciate that though, Kelly, and I received the compliment. It's something that I appreciate you pointing out, because it's something that I don't isn't a marketing strategy or anything that I've really given thought to. But I don't even realize it until you point it out. So thanks for that.
I think it is your marketing strategy, man. I mean, it is like when a person touches you, if you touch, iostrengthperformance.com, you come onto it, you're going to feel it. You're going to see it. You come and you get a chance to spend time with you in person. I mean, for those of you in the Midwest, I mean, it's nothing but more than a flight, flight out here. Or, we have people listening from actually all over the world. And to experience you, I invite you, every single one of you, come to Carlsbad and see. And you'll meet his wife, you'll meet him, and you'll see their little daughter. They are living proof that this stuff works. I just think it's amazing. So how could we dispel and know and decipher what it is to believe in this, quote unquote, more healthy, health conscious world?
Mm-hmm. That's the big question. Cause I wish I had a clear answer to it, because that's something that I wrestle with. I know a lot of people wrestle with as we try and get the best practices for people to follow. It's like, well, is that what this place recommends or this place? And, I don't think from a health standpoint that the government is by any means like purposely misleading or anything. I would at least choose to believe that. But there are things that the government has put out, or the different places that like food pyramid, those things that have been straight up unhealthy for us in terms of recommendation, and studies that have come out that said saturated fat is the worst thing for our health. And then all these low fat foods came out, and then they're like, actually, fat's not the enemy. Sorry, these low fat foods are actually worse of all the chemicals and stuff we've put in them to make them, engineer them as low fat. And those things just happen. So I think having a team in your corner is probably a good thing to have. Of when you look at a well-rounded, having a physician in your corner that you can trust, having people that you can make sense of things like basic blood work, and make sense of your the basic numbers from that sense. I wouldn't I would couple some of that objective stuff with, I wouldn't overlook your body's common sense. Like, how am I actually feeling? Not like, how do I think I want to be feeling, or how do I feel like I want to be feeling? But like, what's my actual, like, how am I actually doing? What do I look like? What do I feel like? What some of those things can don't tell the whole story, but those things can go a long way too, in terms of as you try different ways of eating, or those things too. I think the self-experimentation is a big thing for people, though, of making little tweaks here and there to see, like, wow, my energy's better, my sleep's better, I'm less stressed, I'm less brain foggy. Like, those are all good metrics that I find it hard to believe that if you're feeling really good mentally and physically, that you're doing something wrong, so to speak.
Talk to us about another buzzword quickly, is inflammation. People, I've never heard more people talk about inflammation. And I even find myself, because I hear it a lot, and then, I guess I'm a sheep. But I hear it a lot, and then I'm like, man, like when I clench my fists, I can feel almost like it feels like someone, the best way to explain it is somebody put, the little needle for the basketball, they put it in and they pumped it up, and my hands felt, and I always think, like, when I feel like that, I'm like, damn, I feel like Professor Clump. You know what I'm saying? From the Nutty Professor, And so talk to us about inflammation and maybe some of the causes of that, and how somebody can, combat inflammation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, inflammation's definitely something that kind of goes along when we talk the blood sugar, different hormonal things. Like, inflammation is something we want to minimize. It's when we talk a lot of times the things people think of with clots in the around the heart or anything too is can potentially be traced back more to like inflammation than it can the actual like fat things, in terms of the particles getting stuck, and the amount of room that they have to leave. And inflammation causes a lot of joint issues. We see some of the issues we've seen are turn out to be much less orthopedic, much more inflammation eating some of those things too, that it's been crazy what we've seen joint pain clear up from changes in diet, irregardless of specifically even what we're doing. So there's a systemic approach to inflammation, like it can affect locally too, like specific joints, your hands, those things too. But the ability to manage it is extremely important for how your body's functioning and feeling, and how it's holding water weight and all those things too. So it's definitely something to be aware of. I think the things to focus on is probably not much different than a lot of the things we've been talking about. If we're focusing on quality foods and minimizing processed foods, sugar foods, stress is one of those common overlooked one. But some of the common triggers, in addition to what we've talked about, would be gluten, dairy, wheat, soy, alcohol can fall into it. Those are some of the things to look at, though, that not that all those are bad, but if you have a specific response to one of those, that can cause inflammation, where even healthy foods can be a source of inflammation if you're not careful. So there's two things I'd recommend. You can do more of like an elimination type diet. It's a little more, I would say extreme, but as we talk, not doing 30-day things like Whole30 or something. I don't know if people are familiar with that. It's essentially 30-day. It's a program out there, and it's 30 days if you remove all these things, and then you systematically over the next couple weeks add one of them back in to see how you feel. And this is where I originally found out that I had a much bigger problem with dairy than I thought, where I took it out for 30 days. I added back in. I was like, my skin broke out. I was like super, like had a headache or those. And I didn't think it affected me because it was such a low level for so long until you remove it for long enough. So there's ways like that where you can self-test of you remove everything, you add it back in to see if people don't have the discipline for that. You can go get like a food sensitivity test or something like that too. Can be beneficial. They have some good ones online now, or seeking out like a naturopathic doctor or something can be a good way to get some of those tests done if you just want the like specific, take this blood work or stool sample or something and then get the results back.
The stool sample blew me away when I heard about it the first time. I mean, sending your doo-doo out to a company, I mean, this was hard for me to understand. Like, I didn't grow up, I mean, I don't know anybody. I didn't grow up mailing my doo-doo to somebody, you know what I'm saying? But is this a normal? Is this a normal? Because that's a gut health thing that can help out tremendously. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm. It can give a ton of information, yeah.
Yeah. Does it give more information than your blood?
It's a good question. I don't know on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just because I'm saying, like, I don't like to get my blood drawn, but I mean, mailing out doo-doo is a whole nother thing. You know what I mean? It sounds a little easier. You know what I mean? I mean, that'd be tough. Yeah. That'd be tough for the mailman too. Mailman would probably like do the blood. Yeah. Do the blood, man.
He's like, they don't give me enough double wrap packages to keep the smell out of that.
So the whole reason why I started the podcast, man, is because of my kids. Mm-hmm. It's Maddox and McKenna. Maddox is 10 years old, and he's so funny. Last night he got a Lego for Christmas, and it has 1,334 pieces in this Lego. Mm-hmm. He comes down last night, opens every single bag, and just dumps it out. And at like 9:30 at night, I come downstairs, I look at it, and I'm like, son, and I'm just about to go into dad mode, like, boy, I can't believe. And then I started to think about all the times where I was so excited about something that I didn't take the time to create a strategy that was long-term. And it's amazing that happened last night because our conversation today. Because there's so many times in my life where I would get so excited about, oh my gosh, I'm going to do marketing and I'm going to go do it and I'm going to get the strategy. And then I just jump in and I open all the bags and I dump them out. And I'll be just like my son. And after 15 minutes, he was so frustrated because he could not find a piece. Mm-hmm. And what I've been hearing from you the whole time is, man, calm down, sit down, seek wisdom, and then execute. And so, I mean, my son is that, I mean, he's that excitable. He's joy all the time. Like, he is amazing. He's a superhero. My daughter is she's the artist. She's the heartfelt, loving, sarcastic as can be. She give you the business. She ain't easing up on dad. She ain't easing up on nobody. But heart of gold. So I made the podcast for those two individuals because I wanted to show them that iconic people like Dave are not superheroes, that you're simply a human being with a phenomenal attitude and crazy work ethic. So what advice would you give for Maddox and McKenna? And if you could use their names, it would be awesome.
Absolutely, yeah. No, that's an amazing cause for the podcast, and I love the way you tie that in and tie them in. So I would say for
say their names though, Dave, Maddox and McKenna. Don't you're getting off. You ain't getting off without saying their names.
No,
man.
you didn't even let me.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure. I want to check him.
Sure.
I mean, if you could see Dave on the podcast right now, Dave will twist me up in a pretzel and bench press me like 50 times. But, you know, while we're on the microphone, then I could act like I'm, you know.
Right.
So, Maddox and McKenna.
Yes.
Yes.
So Maddox and McKenna, I love your guys' heart. I love the way your dad speaks about you. I can tell the impact you've had on his life, and the advice I would give to you both would be to follow those hearts, follow those dreams that you guys have. I know you guys have unique talents in those things, and don't compare yourselves though to other people around. Don't compare to what other people are doing. You are going to have people that tell you that you're crazy or that doesn't make sense or why would you do that? And I would just tell you both to fight that at all costs. And even if that comes from loving voices of your parents or of people that do mean well, just know that you guys both have something great imprinted on your life. You have something great that you guys are going to do that will be unique to you guys specifically. So I can't wait to see it. And I just want to urge you though to follow that with all your heart, even when it doesn't make sense, even when it's hard, even when it's challenging, and even when people are telling you that it's not the right idea to continue to follow that. So that's my words for you, Maddox and McKenna.
I love it, Dave, because some way I feel that those are words that lifted you up too, you know? And what I want to encourage you with right now is because you are a master of your craft. And for those of you out there listening, if you're watching on Spotify, we want to thank you for that. There's a QR code. You hit the QR code, scan that, and you can go right to the website. But what I want to encourage you with is because you're a master of your craft, which there's very few in the world that master what they do. But because of that, there's going to be times coming soon, very, very soon, that people are going to throw money at you. And they're going to throw money at you because they're going to want to expand your mastered craft. And I just want you to listen to this podcast when those guys come, because I want you to listen to your words. Mm-hmm. Because it's going to come. And they are going to throw, and because they're going to want to expand you, they're going to want to take what you do, and they're going to be like, pow! And there's very few of you in the world, man. There's very few businesses like you in the world that genuinely care about people and what you said. Like, it's amazing because if you guys go back and you rewind this, which you don't even rewind today, you just run the cursor back. I said the rewind for my dad. If you rewind, what you'll hear Dave talk about is, and one of the things that stood out to me was that if you come to get your knee healed, we're going to help your knee get healed, but we're also going to help you to perform better in your marriage. We're going to help you to perform better as a father, as a mother, or whatever it is, because those ailments can sometimes cause you to have a bad attitude towards your family and you don't even know it. Man, I'm blown away. Like, I was so excited to have you on the show anyway, but I'm blown away because of the authenticity of it and the fact of, I mean, honestly, for me in this, and not only in this area in North County, but, you know, I think that there would only, after listening to this podcast, like there would only be one place or one choice. There wouldn't even be a choice that you would want to be able to work with iostrengthperformance.com. Like it would make so much sense because it's not just about the ailment. It's about getting you prepared for if an ailment comes and to be able to be whole in that place. And I just, man, I'm blown away by you.
I appreciate you, Kelly, and those words. They mean a lot coming from you. I know where your heart is. I love your passion for this podcast and for the reason you're doing it and the people you bring on. I think it's so cool to highlight these stories, and I'm thankful to be included in that. But the amazing people that you're able to bring on to share these things, these superheroes that are out there doing seemingly with what we often see probably coming out as everyday things, and being able to highlight that, I think is amazing what you're doing. Well,
it's definitely not an everyday thing, man. I mean, you see, and everybody out there listening, or if you're watching, I apologize about that. If you're watching, we want to thank you, and we want you to understand that we're going to bring real-time people, and it's not going to be about what you do. I mean, we talked about what you do, but every time you laced in exactly who you are. And I think if more people would lock into that part, they always ask, like they'll ask me all the time, like, how can I build my business? How can I market? How can I build a culture? How can I do all these things? And we always go back. I mean, honestly, like we always go back to the three things. And it was the three things that I can't take any credit for it. My parents told me I was awesome. They told me I was beautiful, and they told me I could do anything. And with that foundation, my dad said that you build the people, and then the people will build the business ultimately. And you see that happening with you and your wife. And there's going to be times, and in every entrepreneurial journey, there's going to be the times where you're like, really, I'd like to pour some gas on this. But I just want to, again, I can't reiterate it enough. Continue to do it the way that you're doing it, because you're doing it right. And I'm just, my hat's off. So now's the time, every one of you out there listening, watching, now you know what you need to do. You need to click the links. You need to check out our sponsors. You need to do all those things. You need to do what you need to do. The other thing that I'm going to tell you to do is I'm going to ask you to share this. I'm going to ask you to share this with every single person that maybe needs a little something, needs a little bit of Dave in their life. And that's everybody. If you're feeling inflammation, if you got a little belly, you got a friend with a belly, send this to him. Don't tell him I'm sending you this podcast because you got a belly. But what I want you to realize is that when you take and you put yourself around masters of their craft, you don't have to be good at it. It won't happen in 30 days. It won't happen in 33, but I'm going to try and get Dave to give me a 40-day program at some point.
See what I can do.
But share it. Share it with every single person that you possibly can, because I believe that the more and more that the message, not only just coming to see Dave, but the message of what Dave and his wife are doing can help not only the health of people, but it can help the health of businesses too. And I want to thank you and let you know that you're officially off the hot seat.
Appreciate you, Kelly.